Hey everyone, totally Mestano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new clipping EP, Wriggle. Wriggle.
Like a fucking eel! Ah!
This is a new 6-track EP from experimental hip-hop trio, industrial hip-hop trio from the West Coast, Clipping, a group that I have been impressed with since the drop of their debut mixtape. I was subsequently blown away by the commercial release they would come out with around the corner on Sub Pop Records. Since then, they've dropped single tracks that I've really been impressed with, like Knees on the Ground. That track is great. But also, there have been some extracurriculars outside of the clipping sphere that have certainly been of note, especially Mr. Daveed Diggs, lyricist of Clipping, getting a Tony Award for the role that he played in the Hamilton musical. Yay! 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 And while I am happy for him, I do still enjoy Clipping quite a bit, and I just want to hear more music from Clipping, want to hear what the band is going to do next. And this new EP is pretty depraved. Quite a few songs about lust and desire, and not even sex, just straight fucking. Like on the song Hot Fuck No Love, which features a hilariously graphic verse from Cakes the Killa. Also the song Our Time at the very end of the project. And the title track on here, Wriggle, which features a very prominent vocal sample from White House's
Wriggle like a fucking eel! Ah!
If you want to hear the original track, you gotta look up this group. They're a UK power electronics and noise outfit. This song comes off of their 2003 record Birdseed. But of course, there are moments where Clipping comes back to those themes of street crime and drug culture and violence, like on the song Shooter, which features this beat that's kind of funky, seems almost DJ Mustard inspired or just inspired by pop rap music from the Bay. The hook is incredibly catchy. It's surprisingly one of Clipping's less noise intensive songs, but the track is as bouncy as it is eerie. And also this EP kicks off, like many Clipping projects have so far, with some very speedy verses from Daveed. At the very end, a shot of harsh noise and feedback, as Daveed says, "It's clipping, bitch." And the way this track was recorded, it sounds like it was recorded outside. Like you really feel like Daveed is on that street corner that he's rapping about on this song. And the themes of drug dealing that come up in the lyrics on this intro are very gritty, as expected. There are plenty of moments on here where I'm impressed with Daveed's lyrics, whether it be in kind of the way that he's going in depth with a particular subject on a track, or some of the one-liners that he drops, like on the song Shooter, to take it back to that track, one line where he's like, the shooters are going nuts, cashew, been to blow his ass away, Jetstream. And while that cut is cool, I am hoping for, and I was looking for songs on here that had a little more texture in the instrumentals, features some of those interesting sampling tricks that I've enjoyed in Clipping's music in the past, and that comes up on the deeper cuts, like on the song Back Up, which features this really catchy refrain, back up, back up, back up, back up, back up. Sounds like something out of a nu metal song or something, and the instrumental has this just booming, explosive piece of percussion that pops up pretty regularly. I'm pretty sure we hear the sample at its actual pitch toward the end of the track, but as I'm listening to it throughout the song, it's like I'm listening to somebody pop a paper bag at the other end of a sewer pipe. I guess it's interesting they work the sound into the beat, but I don't think it's a particularly gratifying sound to listen to in the instrumental, as it feels kind of boomy and thin, and there isn't really that much oomph to it. Lyrically, I think the track is a little more interesting than it is instrumentally. I like Antoine's verse on here, where he's rapping about death and the afterlife, and about how his girl is like haunting him while he's sitting on the toilet via text message. Senor Benedict comes through with the wild delivery that I've come to expect so far, and he has this crazy verse where this girl is kind of caught into the sexual underbelly of the internet, and she's showing her feet to strangers online. One lures her out somewhere where it seems like he's going to take advantage of her, but then she whips out a katana and offs him. The song Wriggle, however, has one of my favorite instrumentals on the entire EP. Not only do I think the White House samples are executed really well, but I love how sporadic and fast and off-kilter some of the kick drums are on this cut. Reminds me a little bit of footwork music or juke music. But again, I think instrumentally this is a moment that could have been a little heavier. I'm thinking back to spots in Clipping's discography, like the song Body and Blood. I just love how overpowering and pummeling that track is. None of these instrumentals here really seem to have that same oomph, especially the noisier instrumentals. The song Shooter, I think, kind of gets away with the fact that it's got a nice bounce, it's got a poppier appeal to it, so it doesn't necessarily need to be overbearing and just really head-crushing. But some of these other tracks, the more abrasive cuts, I wish just had a bit more punch. But the lyrics on this title track I like a lot. The themes of sex and violence and BDSM. And the track ends off with the song Our Time, a track that I think had some potential that it didn't fully cash in on. I think the guest vocals on here are a little shaky. Nyla Middleton, I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly, her delivery has a bit of a jazzy tone to it, which I think was intentional. I think the trio thought if they tossed that in there, it would really be a weird juxtaposition. However, it just didn't fit the eerie and very strange tone of the instrumental, in my opinion. And in addition to that, I guess I thought the vocal performance on this cut was just a tad flat. Still a pretty ambitious experiment on this track. This project was certainly raw, very noisy, and showcased the group trying out some new things. Just didn't have that punchy, vibrant, visceral production that I've come to expect. However, maybe that's something that they're waiting to do for their next full-length album, and this EP is just a little raw and quick, just to kind of hit the fans with something. I'm feeling a decent to strong 7 on this thing. Transition. Have you given this EP a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best. You're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like. If you like, please subscribe. Please don't cry if you happen to disagree with me on this review. Clipping Wriggle EP Forever.